It is the season for gift giving, and for many of our closest friends and relatives, knowing what to buy them can be a nightmare. So imagine trying to buy a gift for someone you don't know but desperately need to impress. This is the situation for many sales representatives looking to sign large deals with prospects, and this was an issue faced by Ebere Anosike, a sales veteran turned founder of ThankYouKindly, a service that uses machine learning to send gifts to professional contacts and prospects. Hi, my name is Sam Breakgear, and welcome to Brains Bite Back, your podcast looking at how we evolve alongside and along with technology. Ebere joins us on today's show to discuss how she founded the business and how this AI-based gift-giving process works. We also learn how customers of ThankYouKindly have, on average, reported receiving 40 times the ROI on sales prospects that receive gifts. And we also learn why Ebere believes gift giving is so impactful and how they measure the ROI of gift giving. In addition to this, she explains what the book Influence by psychology and marketing professor Dr. Robert Cialdini taught her about persuasion and reciprocity. And if you like this episode, be sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts. And you can listen to all of our episodes on YouTube. Just search Brains Bite Back and you will find the Sociables YouTube channel where we post all of our episodes. And we want to know what you think, so be sure to leave us a review where you can. Now let's get started with the show. If I Google you and nothing comes up, do you even exist? Well, maybe in the eyes of an existentialist like Descartes, but his digital footprint is still bigger than yours. If you're looking to maximize your business's online visibility, our sponsor Publicize can help. Publicize is a digital communication agency that has helped businesses like yours gain exposure in major online publications for the past decade, increasing your digital share of voice and boosting your SEO efforts. And for a limited time only, exclusive to Brains Bite Back listeners, you can receive an SEO assessment as part of your package for any tier of service at no extra charge with this special promotion. To find out more, visit publicize.co/BBB. Well, Ebere, if you're ready to get started, could you tell our listeners who you are and a little bit about your company, ThankYouKindly?
Absolutely. My name is Ebere Anosike, and I'm the founder and CEO of ThankYouKindly. So what we do is we work with companies large and small to surprise and delight their clients, their own employees, their strategic partners with unique, hyper-personalized gifts. And we say they're so good that they spark tears of joy.
That's cute. I'm really interested to know how you came up with this because I think it's a really good idea and everyone likes receiving gifts, and I can obviously imagine that you definitely stand out if you send someone a gift because that's not too conventional in our society. So how did you come up with the idea of ThankYouKindly, and how did you get started with it?
Absolutely. So I was working at another global tech startup. I was leading the sales development team, and we were really responsible for getting, first meetings, first foots in the doors with some C-level executives that were typically quite hard to reach. And so we tried a lot of things just to make our lives easier. And one of the things that was most successful that I saw was gifting, and doing so really uniquely, telling a story, baking a pitch into just like a physical package. And so I did a lot of that and began looking for a vendor that we could just bring on to take care of it for us. And I couldn't find one. I had an easy time finding lots of companies who can send swag on our behalf, who can send nice wine, tasty food baskets, but nothing close to what we were doing, which was extremely personalized to each and every prospect and just really telling the story of the pitch without us being in the room.
Awesome. That's like a classic startup story in the sense that there's a gap and you feel a need for something and there's nothing in the market that fills it, and you're like, right, well, I better make something. And it clearly sounds like you've started something really good here. Because I like the fact that you've added machine learning into this, because buying a gift for someone, even someone can be such a complicated task, and like certainly you can get so like anxious about it. So I can imagine like trying to send a gift to someone you don't really know has got to be such a stressful process. So I'd love to know a little bit more about the machine learning that is used to help with the gift giving. Can you explain how this aspect works and talk us through the process, like as if you're using this service?
Yeah, so from day one, we always planned to automate as much as we possibly could. And so what we initially did was everything extremely manually, from scraping online presence of every person we're gifting to doing just breaking up the gift giving process as much as possible. And we like to say it's part art and part science. And so the science part, we knew we wanted to automate. We knew machine learning would be the right solution for us. And so manually, we created the largest data set we possibly could of taste profiles for the executives we were already gifting for our clients. And from there, we were able to use that data to just begin experimenting and building out models that could make recommendations for us. And we continued to keep a human in the loop. They were able to do less heavy lifting. And so that's the journey that we've been on.
Yeah, that's cool. I think, yeah, keeping a human in the loop is definitely a good idea because I'd be worried about relying entirely on machines. Then they send a gift that's really not appropriate for this specific person. So it's good you got a nice, healthy balance between those two there. Before we had this call, one of the things that came to mind, which I really love, and it's like a favorite story of mine, and I believe this is like this happened in Benjamin Franklin's life. So I don't have like a hard source for this, but this is a story that I've heard a number of times. But but apparently Benjamin Franklin, there was a person that he regularly worked with, or that was like an adversary to him, so they didn't get along well, and they like butted heads a lot. But in order to get the man on his side, Benjamin Franklin knew that he had a really large library and that this guy was really proud of, and Benjamin Franklin like complimented him on his library and asked to borrow a book from him, and the man agreed, and then Benjamin Franklin like returned it on time along with a little thank you note. And then from then onwards, the guy was like really friendly to him, and the guy kind of like sung his praises. So I think before that, this guy was very kind of like hostile towards him, was a real critic. And then after this process of like kind of showing interest in him and understanding what he liked, and most of all sending a book back with a small thank you note, it really turned an enemy into a friend. And I thought that would be a really interesting story to bring up in here, because I really think that gift giving is yeah, really powerful. I think it's really cool what your company is doing.
That story made me think a lot. There's a book called Influence by Robert Cialdini, who's also a researcher and professor. And it dives a lot into, how to influence people, how to get to a yes, kind of these ideas around persuasion. And he really unpacks just human beings, how we think about reciprocity, in giving and receiving.
What is your background in sales, may I ask? Because obviously this came from like a need of you taking a very creative approach to trying to win over prospects. Like, did you have like a long background in sales, or did this like you just like got a job in this and you immediately saw a gap for this or a need for this?
I had several years of experience, and primarily I had always worked in enterprise sales. So really focusing on, longer sales cycles where the contract size is very large. And so a lot more of the job itself is building relationships and just unpacking the value of the product over time for each prospect. And so the way I worked in sales was just going all in on personalization. So I just remember even in leading a team, I wasn't very big on templates and just following, very rigid playbooks. I don't think it's as effective, like the time savings, maybe for SMB sales, that makes sense. But not in my opinion for the type of selling that I was doing. And so I took that same approach, in really building ThankYouKindly. There are a ton of gift giving solutions where you can send, a massive amount of, lower budget, trinkety type gifts that some people might like and some might not. But that's what drives a lot with the waste. So when you're looking at I think corporate gifting, it's about a $23 billion industry in the US alone. And looking at that, the median price per gift is about $50. And so there's a lot of companies that are really targeting just under that or over that and doing it in a way where it's just an emphasis on classic pieces that are general, kind of one size fits all. And so we take a really contrarian approach to that at ThankYouKindly, where we have no one size fits all gift, no prepackaged ads. We're not carrying inventory, and everything is uniquely done with the expectation that it will be as impactful as possible.
Once again, thank you to our sponsor Publicize. Visit their website if you want to find out more about their PR for growth packages, their free resources, or even schedule a call. And for a limited time only, exclusive to Brains Bite Back listeners, you can receive an SEO assessment as part of your package for any tier of service at no extra charge with this special promotion. To find out more, visit publicize.co/BBB. I have to say, actually, I did see some data from your company beforehand, and it seems like you're making an impact because I was informed that on average, your clients report over 40 times the ROI on sales prospecting gifts. Like, how do you measure this, and how do you understand like the ROI for gift giving with your clients or the people that use this service?
That's a great question. So as soon as we could, we built in an ROI calculator into the tool, and that's specifically for sales and client success teams who use it, which we don't only work exclusively with sales and client success, but for those who are gifting with the objective of wanting to use Thank You Kindly to help build relationships, to drive revenue, we give that opportunity. And so, for example, sales teams are able to track all their prospects initially. It's usually ones who are not responding to them in any other way that they're gifting. All of their prospects that they're gifting, then track who's responding to these gift sets, and what is that response is a new opportunity created, or are they getting quicker to that no, which is also helpful from a sales perspective. But then from those responses, okay, new opportunity created, we have this prospect, couldn't reach for a few months, sent this gift, and they said, fine, let's chat, your note mentioned something we're really interested in. And that's why I really like to emphasize with the gift, it incorporates a pitch. So it's not bribery. It's really about just telling a story about what your product can do and what value you can create. That's very important to us. So even in the handwritten notes, we're mentioning part of the value proposition in context for each and every gift, for sales teams in particular. So from there, they're just tracking as this new opportunity is created, and it's created specifically because of the gift that was sent. Does it close? In how many months' time? How large is that contract size? And that's how then they're calculating the return on investment for the product.
Awesome. Yeah, it's all about, I suppose, getting your foot in the door, at least getting that moment to be able to have that pitch. I actually used to work in sales a few years ago, and one of the companies that I worked for, they had this thing where we would send out crunchies. Now, crunchies in the UK are this like chocolate bar, really delicious, and we would send them out on like Thursdays, and we'd send them to clients or prospects like that we couldn't get through to, or that we wanted to kind of find a creative way of getting through to them. And I remember that some people got very creative with their notes. I remember on one email, I don't know if I should say this, but someone sent out one of these chocolate bars and they weren't getting any response from the person. And they sent an email being like, oh, I'm sorry, you shouldn't eat that. That's like laced with rat poison or laced with something, just to get a response. I can't remember if they got a response. I think this was like a rumor of someone that used to work at the company before I arrived there. So again, like the Benjamin Franklin story, I don't have a hard source for this. But yeah, I definitely saw some people got some good responses. On one occasion, one prospect was annoyed, and they like crumpled up the whole bar and smashed it up and then sent it back. So I think maybe the just message didn't get through there.
I think there's something else going on.
Yeah. To be fair, I'm like recalling the worst ones because they're the ones that stand out for me. But I definitely know that many people got many successes from them.
That is a memorable one. Yeah. I've never heard anything like that, so I'm curious too. That takes a lot of effort.
Out of interest, for like memorable stories, do you have any like examples at hand? I know I'm putting you on the spot, that have used your service and they've sent some really interesting gifts, or they've got some really interesting responses, or had some real successes?
Yes, absolutely. We've gotten a lot of feedback, and that's probably one of my favorite parts of building this company. It's just the warm and fuzzy vibes you get from the constant reactions to the gifts themselves. One thing I should clarify is that recipients of Thank You Kindly gift sets do not know that Thank You Kindly is in the loop at all. So it's not like we're getting tagged on social media or things of that nature, but our clients will forward us the responses. And one of our favorites is when people mention, crying happy tears. That's really how we revisited the mission statement and added that sparking tears of joy element to it, because that became such a popular bit of feedback that we'd see in emails forwarded from our clients to us really excitedly, where people would mention just how happy they were, or because we infused so much humor in the gift sets themselves, how hilarious they found it, that they cried. And so that's our favorite bit. And we try to print out that feedback for building like our wall of love, where we can just be reminded of those moments when gifts drove that sort of impact.
Awesome. I just wanted to pick your brains on one last topic. From your experience and from a psychological perspective, because really that's what this show is all about, why do you think gift giving has had such an impact on your sales and also the sales opportunities of those that use your service? I know it's probably an obvious answer, but at the same time, I'd love to hear your perspective as an expert in this.
Absolutely. And I'm not sure the answer is obvious, because from my perspective, I think they have such a strong impact because of their ability to tell a story. And so I think that's why oftentimes they don't have an impact. And with a lot of gift giving services, companies see negative ROI and they see I don't know if angry responses are as often, but they see just waste being created by what they're sending and gifting, and not just waste in terms of losing ROI, but just in terms of people getting things they have no use for and unfortunately trashing it. And so what's really unique about Thank You Kindly is, number one, we can be confident that the gifts recipients are receiving, they have a strong use case for. It will be functional and it will be used and valued, because we're pulling what they share publicly via their online presence. That makes it clear they'll want what they're getting. And number two, we use the gift sets as an opportunity to tell a story about why whoever our client is that's sending the gift is doing so. And so that's whether if it's a sales prospect and you're really sharing, in a personalized way, why the product that you're pitching creates value for that specific prospect, not for one size fits all prospects, but for what they're uniquely doing on their team. Or number two, maybe you're even gifting onboarding and milestone gifts to your employees. You're really we always make sure that those gift sets tell a story about the core values of your company, why these milestones matter, what's important for a new hire to know on their first day, and not just have it be a quick laptop sleeve and this and that, which can be useful and functional. But how do we maximize the impact of that as much as we can? What are some reminders that people should see before they open up their laptops?
That's nice. I never even thought of it outside of kind of this sales perspective, but it really does make a difference when a company shows that they care. I think that that's like one of the things which is probably more important than all the conventional stuff like salary and title. I mean, obviously all that stuff is important, but at the same time, just to work for a company that like generally wants to show you that they appreciate you, I think that's a good way to do it as well.
Yeah, we've seen that become much more of a thing with the pandemic and COVID and people being disconnected from offices. We've seen companies gifting a lot more and using that to facilitate interactive activities. So we do a lot of like pre-meeting gift sets and preparation and sending materials for events themselves that can then happen virtually and still make people feel physically connected with having the same, gift kits and handwritten notes and feedback from their managers on Post-its and things of that nature.
That's cute. Yeah, definitely necessary in this new remote world of work that we're working in. I'd love to know if someone is listening to this and they want to follow you or keep up with what you're doing, or even just try out Thank You Kindly. How can they do that?
They can go right to www.thankyoukind.ly, and they can sign right up, request their first gift. They can live chat with us, right? And any questions they have, we'll be ready to answer and to really wow them.
Awesome. Excellent. Well, I wish you the best in your mission of bringing tears of joy to as many people as possible. And thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you kindly, Sam. Thanks for having us and gifting the opportunity for us to share that story.
That was today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Go check out other articles and podcasts just like this at thesociable.co. You can also find us on YouTube under The Sociable, or tweet at us at The Sociable. And you can subscribe and follow all of our podcasts on any of your favorite podcasting platforms. Just search Brains Bite Back. We hope you join us again soon, and take care.